As the world will celebrate World Health Day on Wednesday, the 7th of April, the World Health Organization is calling on countries to invest in the equitable production and access to COVID-19 supplies. This is just one of the 5 vital changes that the WHO director says are needed at this time.
The equitable production and access to COVID-19 rapid tests, oxygen treatment, and vaccines between and within countries is just one of 5 changes that the director of the World Health Organization says is needed to combat COVID-19. For more than a year now, the world has been dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic, which has seen over 2.8 million deaths worldwide. As St. Lucia gears up to celebrate World Health Day on Wednesday, the WHO director is pleading with countries to make changes that would help the poorest and most marginalized. Vaccination is at the top of that list.
At the start of the year, I made a call for every country to start vaccinating health workers and older people in the first 100 days of 2021. This week will mark the 100th day, and 190 countries and economies have now started vaccination. COVAX itself has already delivered 36 million doses to 86 countries and economies. Supply chains are up and running and health systems primed. Scaling up production and equitable distribution remains the major barrier to ending the acute stage of this pandemic. It is a travesty that in some countries, health workers and those at-risk groups remain completely unvaccinated.
Dr. Tedros says that the efforts to achieve vaccine equity does not stop this week, and that the organization will continue to call on governments to share vaccine doses to fill the $22.1 billion gap in the ACT Accelerator for the equitable distribution of vaccines, rapid tests, and therapeutics.
We will also look to find new ways to work with manufacturers to boost overall vaccine production. This month, individuals around the world will also be able to get involved in accelerating vaccine equity via a new fundraising campaign. Developed by the WHO Foundation and a range of partners, the campaign will enable individuals and companies to get one, give one, and close the overall COVID-19 vaccine gap. Further updates will be shared around the launch.
Other changes needed include serious investment in primary health care and access to health services to every member of every community, prioritizing health and social protection, as well as building safe, healthy, and inclusive neighborhoods. For the Hot 7 News, Nisha Charles reporting.
The proceeds of the St. Lucia Tourism Authority's UK Gala charity event in 2019 have been donated to the Boys Training Centre. Over $26,000 was presented to the institution. Doreen Georges is the Public Relations Manager of the SLTE.
The Boys Training Centre particularly was chosen. We're neighbours, if I should say that. Our offices are in close proximity, and we value the work that the Boys Training Centre does, especially with the young men, in rehabilitating them. And so annually, the St. Lucia Tourism Authority seeks out a charity that it can work with in that regard. And we really want to thank our travel and tourism partners who donated to this cause.
The BTC's director, Wang Son accepted the check on behalf of the institution.
On behalf of the Boys Training Centre, the wards and the staff, I'd like to thank the St. Lucia Tourism Authority for this kind gesture. I'd like to thank them for recognizing the efforts that we put into rehabilitation of the boys who come to the center. It's only fitting that this check is coming from the St. Lucia Tourism Authority because of the fact that our aim is to steer these young men from a life of crime, which inevitably, if we fail, might impact negatively on our tourism product. So, on behalf of the boys, I will like the St. Lucia Tourism Authority to know that this donation will go a long way towards the ultimate rehabilitation programs that will benefit and impact the lives of our boys in a positive way.
The Boys Training Centre provides care, protection and rehabilitation of vulnerable young boys in St. Lucia. The complete reconstruction of the old military road in Bontek-Grosley began on Tuesday, the 6th of April. The Ministry of Infrastructure says this project will bring an end to years of hardships faced by commuters due to the deplorable road conditions. The old military road is an important bypass road off the busy John Compton Highway. The scope of works includes complete reconstruction of the asphalt road surface. The project is funded through the Design Finance Build mechanism funded by CIE Construction Company Limited. Weather permitting, works will be completed in 4 months. The Ministry of Infrastructure, Ports, Energy and Labour has thanked residents and the general public for their patience and cooperation as it works towards execution of what it says is yet another vital road project. Barbados' new minimum wage took effect Thursday, the 1st of April, despite concerns expressed by the private sector that the timing is wrong.
The April 1 hike in the national minimum wage is a go. Word of this from Prime Minister Mia Mottley at a press conference this evening. Mottley, who held 5-hour-long discussions with the social partnership, acknowledged that while differences linger about the timing of the move, now is the time for adjustment. She adds there are some benefits to be gained.
We know that there's an adjustment, but I ask myself, if you are paying somebody who is working with you at $7 an hour, and for the additional 8 hours you must move to $150, I know that it is an adjustment, but our business is never sustainable unless we are carrying all of the people that we need to carry, including treating the people who work with us appropriately. So I trust and pray that Barbadians will understand that this is a moment for adjustment. This is a moment for right sizing and doing the right thing. And there may be some adjustment, some consequences, but we're satisfied that in the long run it will work. And let me also say this. People who have money and who receive additional money tend to save it straight off. People who are struggling to survive, if they receive funds, more often than not will need to spend it. And therefore, one of the experiences that we've seen in countries where a minimum wage has been introduced is that in truth and in fact it has led to increased disposable income for the class of person who is benefiting. And to that extent, those persons have been able to contribute to having greater economic activity being pursued as a result of their spending. So I trust and pray that we will as a society recognize that this is the right thing to do, and that there are certain people in this country that to ask them honestly to live on $48 a day times 5 is really too much in this environment, particularly with prices over the course of the last decade having gone up.
Labour Minister Colin Jordan added that government was approached by the security sector and some changes have been made.
Government being approached, looking at what was put on the table, it resulted in us going back to consult again with the security sector. We also consulted again with the trade union, and coming out of that, we made an adjustment to the second schedule of the order. So this government listens. Prime Minister would have indicated that everything we heard, almost every other thing we had heard before. But based on that representation from the security sector, we made an adjustment. And I just wanted to share that to say that this government continues to listen and continues to respond.
Stay with us. The latest weather report is coming up next.